Hey, what's going on, y'all? Connor from RocPokemon here, coming at you with episode 4 of the experiment. So, y'all saw last week, we opened the base set deck. We hit the Magneton as our holo, but we may still have some redemption, as you will see when we put the numbers into the sheet here. So, we're going to take a look. What I've done now is taken from episode 2, you saw where we went through, looked at basically a lot of the potential hits, their 8, 9, 10 prices. What I did was whittle down here what we hit, what I ended up grading, which was 34 cards, which was 30 commons, uncommons, rare, and holo rare, plus 4 energies. We will go over that. And then what we did from there is basically just put all those hits 8, 9, 10. Some of them we just did 9 and 10, and we'll explain why. Because, I'll explain why right now. One side is if we get 8s, we're cooked. So it's kind of a moot point, and we'll just address it on the back end. And 2, as you all saw in the video, I was actually exceptionally impressed by the centering, the quality. The only ones that really had issues were the Magneton Holo and the energies on the back. So kind of typical front back. So went through, pulled some all prices, and then went to eBay Terapeak as well, just to really hone in on what's been happening lately. I didn't look as hard at pricing as far as what's listed. But we will look at some of those when we get the cards back from grading and then go to listing them, and we'll kind of run through everything and update the sheet on where our potential might be once we actually know the grades. But the cards are at PSA, which is super exciting. Can't wait to show you that. So as a quick refresh, the deck cost me $375. They sell for about $600 to $700 on eBay. So on the low sale GP, $225. If I sold it on eBay, make about $158, right? So you can see over here some of the math. We don't have to, you can kind of see what's going on, but we'll explain it fully. So what I did was I went through each rarity, and then I just went, okay, if we hit 10s on all this stuff, but a holo 8, because we knew that the holo was just in not great shape, how do we do? And if we hit 9s on everything but the holo in 8, so you see this is 8, this is 9, and then the rest of these are the 9s. So you basically take a sum of these columns based on these being 9s, and that changes. So you see a drastic change here, obviously. So let's walk through that. Magneton, honestly, we all know it's not going to get a 10, so it's kind of irrelevant. The difference between $40 and $28 net, right? Again, average sales price, and then you're just taking out your sales price less your eBay fees, which is 12.35%, and then discounted 10% for top seller status, and then you also get dinged with a 40% per listing. So we're just going to assume for both of these cases that the holo ends up getting an 8, and hopefully we can move it for $33 if we're lucky. So there is some wiggle there. Non-holo rare, Pokemon Trader does really well, a Finance Bro favorite, including mine. So it's kind of funny crossover of worlds. Obviously not the same type of trader, but again, 10 sell for over $100, so that's beautiful. 9s and 8s aren't great, but if we do hit the 10, we do pretty well, almost 100 of profit if we get something like the recents. And then we went through all of the hits, so that's going to be 28 commons and uncommons. So we did get all the starters. Those are selling, Bulbasaur around 80, Charmander around 80, Pikachu's the outlier, really, some buco bucks there. We'll see how much that really plays out in space now. Not sure the details of some of those sales. We'll have to look back. Squirtle, again, is like your trio, around $80, could even be 75. So you're netting about 70 off of those, right? Pretty steep drop down to 9s, but let's keep it pushing. Any more notables? The Jinx was quite an outlier, so we'll see how that actually plays out as far as value. Many of these, though, as you run down the gamut, other than the Pikachu, you basically have like a $30 to $40 10 and a $10 to $20 9. You know, so 40-20, Kakuna, that was a weird one. Not sure why that played out that way. Let's just get these cleaned up for y'all real quick. Get a little nice currency number there. So anything else of note here on the 10 side? Kakuna was interesting. The rest are pretty dark. Farfetch'd, always a fan favorite. That does okay. Beautiful card. So basically, you're mostly sitting in that 40-20 range. So, you know, you're netting off at eBay. You're basically, you know, getting your grading fee back plus a couple bucks. So we'll run through those numbers in a second as well. But back to the bangers. So you run back through, you hit that, you hit 10s on the energies. I thought it was cool. Double colorless is sweet. Higher premium for the 10 there. If you don't hit the 10, you're pretty much screwed. Fire, grass, water, lightning, thought those would be cool. Jake Smith suggested this, actually. I think it's cool too. I could pair those. You know, it shows and such too with, you know, hey, here's your PSA 10 Pikachu with your PSA 10 lightning energy. That would be neat. Otherwise, might try to sell them. Those I could end up eating. That could be bad, especially if you get 9s on stuff like grass, double colorless, fires at 15. I mean, you're really just, you know, trying to dig out there from your grading costs. So not good. Obviously, I showed, you know, what we're going to make on eBay. I didn't net off the grading fee here because that's going to be captured in our total basis for the deck. So what this number represents is total grading cost at the TCG special for 34 cards, which was $13.99. This was like the ballpark of what I thought it would cost per card. So plus the shipping there. This already includes the shipping back. I went ahead and did a faster shipping level just for peace of mind. I had a bunch of other stuff in that as well. So you could argue that should be taken out because I subbed like 6 different subs together, but it is what it is. Came at $16.84. Looking at it like that without the grading cost, we're coming in at 15 like I thought. So we'll keep the shipping cost, excuse me. We'll keep that in there though, you know, make it harder for ourselves. So then we're on to the trainers, which is pretty solid actually. Oak, energy removal, gust, maintenance, weird verified. Looked at a couple of these. Interesting. Pokemon Center and even energy retrieval. You do okay in 10s. You do okay in 10s. Pops aren't crazy high. You know, that can be some of it. We'll look at all the populations when the cards come back, kind of identify some of those unique ones where there's maybe lower pop if we hit any 10s. You know, God willing, we're going to hit a lot of 10s here because I thought this was really, really strong deck. But you never know. So what happens? Let's say that happens. Basically, best case scenario, other than the fact that we know we're cooked on the Magneton. You end up with, you know, your low ball, $28 on the holo rare. You do well on your Pokemon Trader. Your commons, uncommons, especially carried by that Pikachu, that Jinx, which was crazy, so that might be an outlier. The trainers, which we saw down here, you might get a couple from 30 to 100 would be awesome. And then your energies, you're going to come out having made after eBay fees 1883 spot 21, so you're going to come out on top 935 spot 66 in gain. This gain represents the total after eBay fee income before tax against, you know, before what I have to pay in tax every year when I file, against the cost basis of my deck plus the grading cost, which is the 375 plus the 572. So obviously, if you're running this at, you know, today's prices, things get a little narrower here for sure, and then you start to really dig a hole, as you can see over here. So if we get 9s on everything, pretty drastic change in the commons uncommons. So I think we'll probably end up obviously landing somewhere between here. You know, even if you end up at something like 750, you know, with some of those 10s, you do okay. You still come out on top. Again, our net before was about 157. If we look at 375 deck cost, selling for 600, profiting eBay fees, about 157. So if we clear this hurdle, we're in good shape. But if we get all 9s on everything, so 9 hollow, or 8 hollow, 9 non-hollow rare, 9s on all the commons, uncommons, 9 on your trainers, and 9s on those energies, which are, again, pretty dark. You're looking at 10, 20 bucks on those, maybe 15 if you're lucky. You don't do so great. So hopefully, we hit the right 9s. We could run through this and say, okay, well, if we get the Bulbasaur in a 10 and the Charmander in a 9, and then we get the Ghastly in a 10, and we're not going to do that here. But if you strip out some outliers and say, okay, maybe this lands, let's do the conservative over here. Let's say they're not all 9s. We get a couple 10s. We get, 650 on it. We're still pretty screwed. So your break even's about 700. Yep. So that's your break even. I didn't conditional format this, so excuse me. But you come in doing okay as far as you don't lose, but you do lose against your pre-tax net that you would have had on the deck itself. So really you're looking closer to what, 900 there. Yeah, 875 or so brings you tightening in. So 850 gets you right around there. So that's, the difference of a couple cards, assuming the trainer's energies and non-hollow rares get 90 as well. So let's just back that out. So not great as far as, if you look at all we do, we get 8 in the hollow, 9 throughout everything else. You are bleeding out $300 basically, and your opportunity cost was just taking $150 off the table here. So it's going to be tough, but I felt really good about the deck. I did, and usually I pre-grade really harshly. I could totally eat my words on this and look like a total fool, but that's okay. I don't think this scenario happens where you get 10s on everything for sure. But do I think we can beat this hurdle over here by getting, maybe, what do we say, 850 out of these? So really you need 875. I mean, if you really want to be technical, it's 860, right, to win by a couple bucks and have some fun. Assuming, this isn't obviously including, usually I end up making a few bucks on shipping. This is very straight line. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to auction these most likely, so it's going to be buy it now. So I'm going to have to see what the market is when we get there. But all in all, what I can say is this certainly gives you a lot of opportunity to do well if you hit a really good deck. But if you just get a bunch of 9s and then again 8s, you're screwed. If we hit a couple 8s in there, and mostly 9s with a couple 10s and a couple 8s, you're screwed. You're cooked. It's over. So still super fun. Still really stoked on doing this because it's been a really cool experience. But yeah, as you can see, you saw in the video, the cards are great. They're really clean. We're hoping for the best there. I can't wait to run through this when they come back. They are already at PSA. So stay tuned for the return. We are going to have weekly videos throughout, hopefully the rest of this year. Look out for those every single Monday when and if possible. I got a bunch of cool ones queued up for y'all. I think y'all are going to really enjoy, and we're going to add more all the time to the queue out through the year, as much as we can. So thanks for sticking with me through this. I think it's going to be super cool to see the cards come back. Opening the deck was such an awesome experience. We didn't get the holo we were looking for, but we had a ton of fun doing it. So, as always, folks, have a great week. Collect what you love, but do it intelligently. Don't be like me. See y'all soon. Peace.